we think we need to unwind or relax or escape. But in
Okay.
actuality, we need to socialize because socialization is a essential form of self-expression. We need to seek validation of others, whether it's a wife or a kid or a friend or a husband or a significant other, fill in whatever DEI you want. We also need to be entertained and find like minds for emotional support. That's an essential. That's not a thing that we can bargain with or trade off. And social media immediately offers us a safe environment with absolutely zero repercussions, exactly like Brian said. And I would posit that the average user on social media wants to remain connected and share their opinions and give emotional support to other humans, just like on Facebook. But what happened is now they got into a feedback loop of social validation that dumps dopamine. And you have also linked back in, not to use their title, but because that scary feeling in the pit of your stomach after being called out or fearing that you're going to be challenged on social media wants me to get back there and see how many more people linked, how many
Yeah.
more people looked at me. Are people reading it? Can I feel vindicated by what I say or do? So it's all a chemical game. But I would ask you to think just for a minute, what kind of total release do you think that Thomas Crooks felt when he finally hit send on that message he had been working on for weeks
Yeah.
and dumps his message on social media and ads for the rally? Okay, that's what we're fighting here, Brian. So you have homophily on one side, the tendency for people to seek out or be attracted to those birds of a feather who are similar to themselves, right? Then you got isopraximism right on the other side of the coin, and that's brought on by our mirror neurons. We're unconsciously mirroring the behavior of others that we admire or we want to be around, and it just starts to get going. It's not your plan for the long game. It just starts to happen. And then all of a sudden, we're like, hey, wait a minute. Let's not fight about this. We're tribe mates. And that cohesive nature of cooperation keeps drawing us back. I wonder what Jim said about my last post. So, have you ever been in a situation where you saw the same post over and over and over on different channels, and it's a
Yes.
guy saving a dog in Indonesia or whatever, and you saw it 6 months ago and you saw it a year ago, but now they changed the
Yeah.
music and they put a flower at the bottom and
Yeah.
then they put their own name on it?
Yeah.
That's seeking psychological and sociological validation, Brian. And we know that biologically, the return on investment is that we get a ton of dopamine from those things. So, and when that counter goes up, I don't even know if they use counters anymore, but remember in the early days, there was a counter,
Yeah.
how many
The
people hit your
likes
site?
and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
likes. That's a perfect way of describing it. So now
Yeah.
what happens, Brian, is that instead of just unwinding and escaping like at happy hour, now we find out that, wait a minute, we got a whole bunch of new friends and we're engaged in a whole bunch of new online activities. And my self-esteem even gives me a title. Somebody called me and said, well, would you
Yeah.
give an opinion on this? Holy shit. And now guess what? We got one foot in the trap already, don't we? So every time we do it, it reinforces the fact that this is part of my identity and it's part of who I am. And you said earlier when you were joking, like, oh yeah, Chuck, he always reads into that shit. That a long time ago, it was slow enough. Like Shakespeare wrote about Falstaff and Henry the Fourth wrote about, hey, let's go have a drink before we go home for dinner and discuss these heavy topics, right? And I'm paraphrasing. Brian, we
Yeah.
don't do that now. We don't go to dinner and sit
This is
around with
how
the
we
family.
do it. Okay, so this
This
is
is
the
how we do it
mechanism
now.
which is not it's not it's not like congruent with how humans are. So what I'm getting from you
Yes.
is there's certain psychological and sociological underpinnings that
Yes.
and necessities that are sort of contributing to why we do this,
Yep.
and then the environment and the system and the medium takes over and creates that sort of feedback loop where now I'm doing it so much I don't even realize it. Now
So
it's
couple
so
that
your
with the
baseline is shifted.
immediacy. Yes, couple that with the immediacy of social media, the immediacy of information. One of the
Yeah.
first
Immediate
things
feedback.
when
Humans
yeah,
need feedback, and when you get immediate feedback, it's yeah, I
we'll
got
take
you.
it even if it's sketchy.